stuff tonight. I'm so excited because I got everything, my inventory in the store. So I'm going to work on two projects tonight. And one of them is inspired by this. This is a piece of pottery, I guess. It's a dinnerware pattern. I'm not exactly sure what the name of the pattern, but this was from Chubby Bunny Cottage. And I just think that is so pretty. So we're going to actually use an old silver plate tray and kind of simulate that design with some IOD stamps. And then we're also going to do a second project. We're going to use this spaghetti sauce jar, or it was actually Alfredo sauce. And we're going to put a mold on that and do that. So let us go ahead and get started. We're live on the YouTube channel, and we're also live on Facebook. And on Facebook, we're live on La Vintage Decor and also on workshops at La Vintage Decor. And we are going to start having workshops in the very near future. So I'm so excited about that. So this is the olive crest stamp. So we're going to be using it with this jar. Now I want to show you a little tip too. This is a big mason jar, or a ball jar. I guess they're all mason jars. Ball mason, it says. This is the lid from spaghetti cheese, okay? Parmesan cheese. These will fit on a mason jar. So you can do all kinds of things with these. But this would be cool in your craft room too. I've seen people take the little ribbon and put three spools of ribbon in here and run them up through the top. So you can do all kinds of cool stuff with that. I just wanted to tell you about that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the screen down because I have so much I want to do. My first project I want to get started with is not what I consider the main event. But so I'm going to put the screen down here, and I'm first working with this mold, and I'm going to use a little bit of cornstarch in here. And again, this is the olive crest, and all we're doing is using this one mold out of it, which it looks kind of like a label. And I am trying the Iron Orchid Designs air dry clay. This, I haven't used it for a while, so it's a new formula from what I understand. So I'm kind of excited to try it. And if you're coming on either on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to say hi. So I'm just kind of flattening this clay out. I think I need a little bit more. This does feel really good. You work it in your hand and get it a little bit warm, and then you can flatten it out in your mold. It's so soft and supple. It really is nice. So, like I said, haven't used this for a while, so happy to be trying it again. I do know they recommend the cornstarch, so we're going to stick with that. And hey, Jody, how are you? So I'm just pressing it down in there, and these ones have these high rims on them, the micro rim, and that is making it easier to get your mold out or get it flat. And also they have the measurements on there if you're going to use 2-part epoxy. So I wanted to go ahead and get the mold made and started, because we're going to go ahead and put that on our jar and paint it. Okay, and remember to put your clay in a plastic bag or something. Hey Sandy, how you doing? So we're going to seal it back up. Jody, you want to join me on the video? Let's see. Did you accidentally hit that button or you want to join me? Okay, so let's get this unmolded. Got that extra little piece there. Wow, that comes out really, really nice. Really pretty. Okay, no problem, Jody. I have done that before too. I really like the way that came out. I love that mold. So we're going to go ahead and get this on the jar right away because we want to get painting. So like I said, my main event project is the silver tray that we want to make look like the plate. Apparently I can't put out glue and talk at the same time. So, hey Suzanne, my cousin's on. So I was just about to say, if you're local, stop by on Saturday. We're having an open house. If you're not local, like Suzanne, maybe you can just drive on over. That would be awesome. But we're going to do a little DIY make and take project. So I'm just using Aileen's tacky glue here and making sure it's spread the whole way out to the sides. And I'm going to put it on this jar. So I like this jar because it had nice flat sides. Okay. So if I can get it on here straight. Not too bad. I feel like that's a little uneven. Okay. I was able to get it to shift over. Okay, so I'm going to let this on its back for a minute. I'll wipe the excess glue off after I shifted it there. And I'm going to start painting on the other piece. And then we'll come back to that and paint that. So what I'm going to use is Dixie Belle's Slick Stick. This is a bonding primer. Since the jar and since this tray are both, you know, shiny, slick surfaces, we're going to use this. But I'm going to make it do double duty tonight because I would also like to use white paint on it. So what I'm going to do is just use 2 coats of Slick Stick and eliminate the paint step since it's white. So that's what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to get my jar open here. Should have done that ahead of time. I try to prep everything I can ahead, but you know, sometimes it doesn't always work that way. All right, so I want to get probably 2 coats on here at least. I'm so excited to do this design. So apparently I had tried to do something with this at one point. I think I put gilding wax like years ago around the edge because I see it's kind of red around the edge. So I'm just gonna give this a coat, and then I'm gonna put a coat on the jar. And then we might have to dry it with the old hair dryer. And then get another coat on there. And then we can get to the fun stuff. Well, I really being generous with the paint here. The fun stuff tonight is going to be stamping. Of course, making a mold was kind of fun too. And I always like painting as well. I'm not happy unless I have a paintbrush in my hand. I had my little grandbabies. Well, they're not babies anymore. I had the grandkids over last night, and they always have to do a project, so they enjoy painting too. It's definitely a stress reliever for me. Okay, I'm just trying to get in all those little crevices around the outside. Then I'm gonna kind of smoothen my paint a little bit. There are some real fine designs on the plate itself or on the in the middle there, but we're not gonna actually be worrying about that. I'm gonna take the lid off, and you can go ahead and paint the mold when it's wet. You just kind of want to be a little bit delicate with it so that you don't lose the detail in the mold. But again, we're using Slick Stick from Dixie Belle, which is a bonding primer. It's really good if you're going to paint countertops or if your furniture is, I keep wanting to say fiberglass, but that's not what I want to say. Laminate. So if you have any smooth surface, this is good to help the paint to adhere. But tonight it's going to be our color as well. My light was flickering. I thought it was lightning. I thought this jar was pretty. I forget, Bertolli, I guess, maybe is the kind of sauce. It was actually really good sauce too. I never really buy Alfredo sauce in a jar because I just always think it's going to be terrible. And it was pretty good. So we have a good coat on there as well. So I'm going to set my brush aside for a second. I'm going to put it in the plastic bag, and then we're going to go ahead and dry our items and then do another coat. So I always hate to do that, but you know, you have to do it. When you're live, you got to do it. So I'll just yell above the hair dryer. Whenever I'm in classes, I use a heat gun. It's a little bit quicker. But we'll use a hair dryer. Shouldn't take long with the heat lately. It's really drying pretty quickly. Set that aside. Okay, not 100% dry, but we're going to talk for a second here while we let that dry, and then we'll get another coat on there. So I have these stamp pads. Now, I just inked these myself. This was the first time I ever did that. The colors are gorgeous. This one's China Blue and black, and I just brought those for starters. But that's the China Blue, and you know, I've never inked these pads before, so I hope I did it right. I did write on the back of them what they are, because these ones are both kind of dark, and I just didn't want to get them confused. They nest together, which is cool, and you do want to store them upside down. That way, the ink's always at the top of the pad. And what stamps we're going to be using, these aren't actually new ones. but I've had these ones for a while. But we're going to use the bunny out of the farm animals. So I have mine on the back of the thing that it comes on, and they call that a thin mount. And I have left this one on there because it seems like it's appropriate to do so. Now these ones I had just cut them apart and had them on there, but we're going to be using this on the edges. This one is called Rose Toile. We're going to be using it kind of in this crevice a little bit, so I wanted it to be a little more flexible, so I took it off there so I can bend it a little bit. So we're going to be doing that in the China Blue. So I'm going to go ahead and put another coat on here, and we'll get that dried, and then we'll be ready to get stamping. There's still just a little bit of a wet spot there. Let me get that real quick. I always do the best I can in our live videos because I try to hurry so that you're not bored. Well, I usually try to get my projects done in an hour, so I don't take up too much of your night. But this will be the perfect background. It's an absolutely adequate white in my estimation. I must have a loose connection on my light because when I shake the table, that's when it's flickering. Yeah, see, I think that's giving me good coverage, and the color is fine with me because I just wanted a white background. I was going to grab the Sawmill Gravy, but then I thought you guys would think that's the only color that I know how to paint with. But that's not true. There's so many. It's like 89. Well, now they have the Terra colors too, so there's a whole lot of colors to use. I'm not carrying the Terra line at this time, but who knows, that might change in the future. Okay, so we have that one done, and we're going to set that aside. And it looks like we have pretty good coverage on that. And we'll go ahead and throw another coat on this jar. I like the way the jar had a design up at the top of it too that sort of reminded me of architectural elements and kind of like the IOD. So again, if you're local, stop by the store and see our Iron Orchid Designs display, and of course our Dixie Belle paints too. So if you're a crafty person, you're gonna love it. I'm working on a whole series of classes and ways for you to get product. So kind of making it inclusive, but I'm kind of going to do maybe like a bonus kind of or point system kind of thing so that you can build your collection as you go. So you can enjoy more classes, but get the products you want. So you can use my product in the class, and then you can choose the products you want to take home for your credit or your points. So that's my plan. Back with the hair dryer. I'm going to make sure I get this good and dry this time before we stamp. Hope your week's going well so far. Mine's going to be a busy one. Have a couple projects going. I always have a video to get ready for Saturday. So I'll be starting a new piece. And just getting the shop all buttoned up and nice and ready for the open house. I have pretty good coverage on that. Probably could use another coat, but I'm not going to worry about perfection simply because I'm putting a design on top of it and we're live. So I do want to get my jar dry as well. Like I said, in this heat, things are drying pretty quickly. IOD molds, when you use the air dry clay, it's the clay that actually, I'm putting this upside down because I think it slid a little bit, so I'm gonna let it slide back the other way maybe. But they have a tendency to shrink a little bit, so sometimes, so especially when you put your mold on when it's wet, it'll shrink a little. So but the beauty of putting it on when it's wet is that you can form it around the sides of the jar. So basically though, you want to make sure that you let it dry, like maybe come back and put a second coat on the next day. Or coat your piece first, then put the mold on, and then add it, because otherwise, if it shrinks, what can happen is you'll get a little area around the mold that like is just the jar, and that's all you're seeing. So at any rate, that's how to avoid that, is give it a clear coat first, or your base coat, and then add your mold and then paint it. So obviously I didn't do it that way because I'm just trying to get it done. But so we're going to come back to the jar. And again, I'm going to put it upside down. And let me say again, Slick Stick is normally going to be an undercoat. But I'm using it, I just did 2 coats, and it's going to be my white that I'm using tonight. So I'm going to use the China Blue stamp. And I'm going to start with the bunny. So this is the bunny from the farmhouse, or the farm animals collection. So I'm just going to ink the mold. Now I have used this with paint before, so I did wash it. And when you use it with a paint, you can use a brayer. Now, I'm afraid that because that was the first time that I ever used this stamp pad and just inked it, I'm just going to wipe around the outside and make sure that I don't have any excess ink, because I don't want to get any over stamping. Okay, so I'm just going to grab onto this and get it somewhat centered. There's really no, I'm trying to look and see, it's kind of a, there is a little design in there, but we're just going to kind of center over the top of it. So once the mold is down, just let it sit on there and just kind of use your fingers and just gently press all over it. You don't have to really slam down on it or anything. Just be gentle. I'm going to put the screen down just a tad more. All right, we're going to lift up. See, leaving it on this thin mount allows you to grab it like that. Okay, so isn't that cute? So when I saw this China pattern, again, if you're just tuning in, let me show you this picture again. This is what I'm trying to simulate. This is from the Chubby Bunny Cottage, and it's this dinnerware. So that's kind of what we're going for, more or less. Okay, so let's grab one of these rose toile images and get it inked up. And this is the part that has me a little nervous, just because I want to try to fit the stamp in along this side, kind of make it go up over the side. So I'm going to lay it down. And again, not going for perfection, but just trying to get it in there a little bit. Voila. Really pretty. Now, if you notice right here, I got some ink on there. So I had some excess ink on the stamp. So we can come back a little bit later and touch that up with the paintbrush. I'm not worried about it. So far so good. I like it. Let me use this other image and we'll come back to that one. I don't want to get on the very outside rim because we're going to do something else with that. So I have to be careful here. I don't want to get the bunny's face in there. Well, what we can do is just use a little bit of the stamp. We don't have to use the whole thing. So we just made a little bit of an image of that flower. Now we can come up here and use a little bit more of it. I don't have to re-ink it every time. You get a more faded image if you don't re-ink it. I think it looks really pretty and delicate. Okay, and let's get the other one. This particular stamp, it's a 12 by 12 stamp, so it has an even larger image, and I couldn't find it. I have it, but I couldn't find it. Like I said, I've had this set for years, but they still sell it. This time, I'm just going to make sure there's no ink around there like I should have done the last time. Okay, let's just put this here. It's not hard at all to really go in that place where it's indented. Now that I've taken it off the backing. Oh, that one turned out really good. There's something on there though. There we go. I got it. And here too. I don't know what's on there. Okay, now it's gone. I think it's looking really pretty, and it's kind of looking a lot like my inspiration, I think. Let me get a couple more images on here. This time I'll do a partial image. You know what? Let me use this pretty part of this rose. That way it just looks kind of different. We'll just use that section. The most important thing is once you get it on here, not to move it around. So that's kind of the key. Okay, so we got a little bit up here, but that's okay. We'll kind of come in and fix that with the brush. So one more big image. Well, let's use this one again. And again, we can always come back in and add some partial images if we want to fill it in a little bit, because I can use some from the larger mold. Okay, I'm gonna have to be careful because I kind of have this on his feet, and I don't want I don't really want to overlap. Well, I did. I did. Okay. Let's look and see what we've got. I think I might fix that up with a little bit of paint because I just don't want it overlap in there. Other than that, I'm kind of happy with what's on there. But here's the trick that we're going to do around the outside. We're just going to grab the stamp pad. Because this has this really pretty design around the edge, we're just going to use the stamp pad and just kind of put it on here and get the edge covered. I think this is really pretty. I'm thinking maybe let's take this bigger one and use a couple. Let's see. I feel like this area here maybe looks a little bare. Maybe down here we could use something. What do you guys think? Or you think I should leave well enough alone? I kind of maybe just leave it alone. But I am going to use a little bit of paint or just take the paint that's on my brush and just touch up what I don't want here. So I don't like the way this is along the side here, so I'm just going to kind of get rid of that. And where my stamp pad kind of ran a little bit. And down here. Anywhere I want to get rid of some ink there, I'll just go over it with my brush again. I think I did that when I used the stamp pad. Okay, now the one thing that I'm really glad about is I've been using that Ranger ink and it's fine, but the problem is you really can't seal it. So this we can seal, and I do have a gloss sealer for it, which I thought might kind of make it look even more like a plate. But let's look at our jar real quick and see what we can do with that. Now I have some letter stamps here. And they're not Iron Orchid designs. They're just little ones that I got at Michael's. And thanks, Sandy. If I can get it open here. But I think we're going to spell out cheese. So, as if that's what we're going to put in our container, maybe. Now, too bad that there's 3 E's in cheese, because that makes it a little more difficult to stamp, but that's okay. So now I'm going to use that black stamp pad. And I'll get this guy over here. And so we have C, H, E. I test it on there. And this doesn't have to be perfect, so ESE, so. Okay, now my mold was still a little soft, so it made an indent in there, which is fine. But what we have to do then is, you can also see the edges of the stamp there, so we'll touch that up again with paint. So again, I don't have, there's an extra E in there, so I can only do ES, and then I'll have to add the extra E at the end. It's much easier if you can do this all at once. Okay, I kind of like the way it made an impression in there. So that's kind of cool to be able to do it, I guess, maybe when it's wet. But the other thing I wanted to do with this is, again, take the stamp pad and get these high points on here. So you don't always have to use paint. Again, I got a little bit on there, but we'll use the brush and touch it up. Okay, and then also on the jar, it had little designs on there, so I'm just going to kind of touch it a little bit with that. Well, maybe that's not such a good idea, but okay, we'll just kind of cover that up with the paint, I think. Okay, so let me touch this up a little, and then that project's done. Gonna seal the tray too, so that you can see it with the gloss. Okay, I should probably be using a real fine brush to try and do this. Yeah, I definitely should be using a smaller brush to do this. But since I don't have one right here, you would think I would, because we're, oh wait, maybe I do. I do. Okay, so let's get this. Yeah, and I'm going to get rid of this up here. I don't like that. I thought it would cover, but all right. I think that is pretty cute. And probably will paint the jar lid black. And I think it'll be really cute. Definitely cuter than just your cheese container. And if you wanted to, you could punch holes in the lid or something, so you could sprinkle it. But basically that was just to give you an idea. So, I just put that brush in there, but I'm actually gonna wash this brush out real quick. And then we're gonna put a clear coat on our platter. I'm gonna soak that a second, and I'm just gonna give it a really, really quick dry with the hair dryer, just so that I know that my ink's dry before I seal it. So sealing it is, because I've had the experience that I've had with the Ranger product, not that that's a bad thing, it just runs when it gets sealed. So I understand this is a lot different, but I definitely want to make sure it's dry before I attempt to seal it. But we'll just see it together to find out for sure that it will take the sealer. I love the detail in these stamps. I mean, look at all the detail in that little bunny rabbit. All those little dots and the roses, all the lines and everything. I just love it. I think it's so pretty. Okay, so let me get this clear coat open here. And this is Gloss Clear Coat from Dixie Belle. And trying to get this brush washed out a little bit here. I want to make sure there's still doesn't have white paint in it. It's hard to wash brushes out when you're not at a sink, you know. Still a little white. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, here's the test. Yay, it's not running. That makes me so happy. Like I said, this makes me really happy because the other, it made me sad before whenever the other kind of ink ran. You know, when you work hard on a project, then all of a sudden you put the sealer on and then it's like, ah. So now this opens up a whole new world of possibilities for me. IOD has the coolest products, the paint inlays. I got a good bit of stock in the store, so I think I got a good start. And I ordered the holiday stuff too. They're coming out with the really pretty things that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but it'll be released very soon. But so this is going to dry with a little bit of gloss, which kind of helps us to simulate that plate. And let's take a look at it one more time and see how you think we did. So that's our inspiration. And here's our plate. Of course, I knew it wasn't going to be the same exact bunny rabbit, but I think we did pretty good. I think it's a good fake, or not fake, but just like a dupe. That's what they call it, dupe. Let me put the screen up here a little bit and chit chat with you. So again, if you're local, stop by Saturday, and of course there'll be a video up on Saturday as well. And you know, if you want to help my either my YouTube channel grow or just in my business in general, if you're enjoying the video, share it. So that would be awesome, and I sure appreciate you being here. And I hope you all have a very good night. All right, talk to you soon. Bye bye.